Welcome to the Orchard, where we have one goal: to love God and love people.
Well, good morning to you guys. It is a great day to be in this house, worshiping together. We would love if you would join us. Let's stand and sing.
Every battle, every heartbreak, every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress, you are my portion, you are my hiding place. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe through every blessing, every promise, every breath I take. I believe that you are provider, you are protector, you are the one I love. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are. And it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true, because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true, because they can't stay long. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe you are.
Go ahead and find someone next to you to say hey to, and you guys may take your seats.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the Orchard. How's everybody today? Great, great. Big day today. You're going to hear more about that in a second. But first of all, I just want to welcome you. And I'm Dan Bosco, the executive pastor. And
Pastor?
yes, and we're here just to do a couple quick announcements, tell you about what's going on here. This Connect card right up here. It's also in this bulletin, that scan code. If you're a scan code kind of person, you can scan that, let us know you were here, update your information. You can check out information on community groups and being on a volunteer team. We encourage all of that. So please check that out.
Yeah, and if you're not a scan code person, we have welcome desks at the front and the main and the gathering center to answer some questions to some real life people. They will also use the scan code Yeah, it's just a great place to get plugged in. If you got any,
You're going in and out.
I'm
bro.
going in and out. So what I'm trying to say is, somebody.
Hey, we also have free Bibles at those welcome desks. We'd
Yes.
love to just get those in your hands. So please take advantage of that. If you don't have one, we would love to give you one. Really cool Bibles, so check that out. Also, just want to mention giving. So many folks give to the vision and mission of this church, and we just want to say every week, we just say thank you. You're doing amazing things, and God is using those resources to do things around the world. And you're going to continue to hear more about that as we go throughout the year. I mean, God is just moving in mighty ways through many Orchard churches around the globe. And also with that, if you're not someone that gives, we just invite you to do that. We'd love to have you on the team. I know for me personally, there's just a sense of like partnership and ownership when you say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be a part of the church in this way as well. We encourage it. Jesus taught it. And so we just want to say, please consider that, whatever amount God may put on your heart. And tell us about what's happening today.
Today is Sunday, church day. Let's switch microphones. Sunday. No, it's church day at our house. My daughter, she's 2.5 years old, and she always loves it because it's church day. She gets to come listen to music, but it's also baptism day and picnic day. So after the service, the second service, if you guys want to come join us at Spring Creek Ranch here in Carbondale, it's at 11:30. We're going to have a full church food fellowship and family get-together. There's also going to be baptisms in the river. So if you be baptized, please come see one of us or find us there at the event. But we just really encourage you to come back after this service is over. There's going to be another service. We're going to tell them the same thing. So you guys have a chance to get there early, hang out, eat some food, but it opens right about after the second service here. So please come join us. Yeah.
That's great, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'll give you that one back. Thanks.
Yeah.
Also, just want to say welcome to Casey Adams back here, drumming for the first Sunday. Woohoo! Casey and Ashley are new to the church, and great to see him jumping right in and drumming with us. So welcome, guys, and let's stand and worship some more.
And I hear the Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch him pray. Find in me thine all in all. 'Cause Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Before the throne, I stand in him complete. Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat. 'Cause Jesus paid it all. 'Cause all to him I owe.
Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Yes, he washed it white as snow. You washed it white as snow. No, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life, oh, from the dead. Oh, praise the one. You're the only one. You're the only one. Oh, praise the one. You're the only one. 'Cause Jesus paid it all. Oh, to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Yes, he washed it white as snow. Yes, Lord, thank you so much for what you did, Lord. We pray that you bless this morning. I pray that you change lives. We just thank you so much for everything. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are so glad you were here. You can be seated. We have been in the Exodus series, I counted it up, for 35 weeks. Now that's not, I mean, we had a 3-year series at one point early in my days, but so we have a 35-week series. We've gone from Egypt and slavery to Mount Sinai, the 10 Commandments, the golden calf, the promised land, and last week, if you remember, we had giants. And Dan, could you turn the 2 ACs up a little bit back there? I'm hot, they're hot, and it's gonna get hot up here. I just wanted to say that sounds kind of cool. It's not a threat. It's not a threat, okay? We have traveled from slavery toward the promised land, the land that's promised to them. From what was to what is, the greatest place they could dream of. And so for 35 weeks, we've been looking at a journey that takes 40 years for them. Now, here's a little secret that I want you to know. This is a 2-week trip for them from Egypt to the promised land. It's 230 miles. If you walked 1 mile a day, you get there in under a year. If you averaged, did a 3 mile per hour walk, it would take 77 hours. Or if you dedicated and 7 hours a day, 11 days you could be from Pharaoh to the promised land. Let's say you add in some rest time, to there at Sinai and some sleep and some recreation. 2 weeks, 14 days, let's say. It took them 40 years. So what happened with the other, 14,586 days? Why so long? Well, last week we saw that after about a year at Mount Sinai, God brought them up to the border of the promised land, and there they went in and they saw giants. And if you missed last week's sermon about giants and how we all face challenges in our life, I would encourage you to go back. If you're facing a giant or a challenge in your life, go back and listen to last week's. But last week we talked about how they saw these giants and only a very few of them said, we have the faith to move forward. While the vast majority said, oh no, we can't make it. God's not with us. We can't get in there. And so God decided to take them back into the wilderness from the border of the promised land. They tasted it. They tasted the fruit from it. But their lack of faith and trust in God cost them. And they went for another lap around the wilderness. You see, he had a promised land for them, but they weren't prepared. They weren't ready for the promised land. And so they went into a wilderness season. A wilderness season prepares you for the promised land. A wilderness season prepares you for the promised land. We all know promised lands, and sometimes what happens if you get there and you're not prepared? You may have seen some documentaries about young people who receive millions of dollars of wealth based on signing a contract or a windfall of money, only to end up broke at some point. You see, they reached the promised land before the preparation. And what God wanted them to do, with these people, is to prepare their hearts for what he was bringing them. God is more interested in preparing our character than providing for our happiness. And that's hard for some of us, because we believe an all-loving God is here to make us happy, when what he actually wants to do is prepare you to be joyful even in the hardship. So parents, you get this. There are some things your children would love to have that would make them very happy. And out of your love for them, you know that would be terrible for their character and their life. Numbers 32:13, it says, the Lord was upset with Israel and made them wander the wilderness for 40 years until that entire generation passed away. He wanted that faithless part of them to die off in the wilderness. The wilderness is where things go to die off and our faith can remain. Deuteronomy 8:2-5 says, remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness. For those 40 years, you were humbled there, and you were tested there to prove your character, it says, and to find out if you would obey. The wilderness is where our character is tested. Our obedience is tested. So we have these people. They have slavery behind them. They have the promised land ahead of them, but they're in the middle in the wilderness, and often this is where we find ourselves. And if we are honest, wilderness seasons are the worst. They're the worst. They can be short. They can be long. Have you ever waited for a diagnosis that meant a whole lot in that little waiting area between you're not who you were when you found out and you had the test taken, and you're not yet who you are when you get the information? You're in the waiting wilderness between. You aren't where you want to be. You aren't where you were. Maybe you're dateless. Listen, here's one. You're not dateless anymore, but you aren't yet in that solid relationship you long for. You aren't eating budget ramen anymore, but you aren't yet promoted to the position and the place that you want in life. You aren't immature in your faith and young in your faith, tossed by all the storms of life, but you aren't yet as deeply rooted as you hope you are in your faith and your peace. You aren't clueless, but you don't have all the vital answers that you still need in life. You aren't who you were, but you don't yet have that purpose for what's ahead. You're in the wilderness. You're in between. There's a word we use for this. It's called limbo. Being in limbo, and I looked it up. Limbo comes from a medieval Latin word that means the edge or the border, and it was the original intent was it's on the edge and the border between heaven and hell. And I thought that's pretty good. Like, I'm stuck in limbo. I'm on the border of hell. Because it feels like that, doesn't it? As you're just waiting, you're waiting for something, for the answer. We're on the edge. In the wilderness seasons, we don't have the things that we want most. In the wilderness, we are lacking the information, the security, the significance, the authority, the resources, the purpose, the love that we want most. In the wilderness, our character is tested. The wilderness is a season of relationships, in a relationship wilderness, a health wilderness, a career or work, parenting, or wanting to be a parent. Wilderness of faith, the wilderness of waiting for purpose and waiting for direction. It's a time of wandering that lasts longer than we want. And in those times of wilderness, we can wander into private sin, addiction, and vices. The things we want most in the wilderness season, they seem to elude us. The stability and security that we want doesn't seem to be there. We get this. We know what a wilderness season looks like. And for many of you, you find yourself today in between. It's the in-between where God's taking you and where you are today that we find ourselves. And it's something that every human deals with. It's how you deal with it that makes all the difference in the world. How you deal with the wilderness season changes everything. Today, I want to arm you with something that has made all the difference in my life. In my wilderness seasons, this has helped sustain me, unlike a lot of other areas, a lot of other resources. So I want you to get your notes and prepare to follow along. In life, there are 3 zones. There's the A zone, B zone, and I don't know if you see this coming. The C zone. We have 3 areas of life. The A zone, this is my favorite. And this is your favorite too. You just don't know it yet. This is where things are new. This is where things are exciting. This is what we call the honeymoon phase. Do you remember like the first week of that romance? The first month? Is there anything like a new relationship? I mean, before you find out that they chew really loud, or that like they breathe loud, or like remember the things that were cute here? Oh, everything's cute. Everything's cute. Give it time. But everything's cute. And everything has an A zone. Your salvation, your journey of faith had an A zone where things were white hot and you were excited and you were ready to go to tell everybody, and it's all new and it's emotional. You were saved from slavery in Exodus. If you were in the book of Exodus, you were from Egypt. This is the A zone. They were freed from Pharaoh. The honeymoon phase. This is that new car smell, that new relationship smell, that new job smell. Remember the new job? The new job. Everybody's so nice. The boss is great. This is what I wanted. It's that new hobby where you're two sessions in, and this is what I was meant to do. This is life now. I'm a pickleball player. Whatever it is for you, this is life, right? New, the A zone, we love it. This is when things are new. Oh my goodness, and life is just so awesome. But what always happens to an A zone? What happens to that new car smell? Well, if you're a parent, you tell your kids, no eating in the car. I know we ate in the last one. Believe me, I know. But no eating in this one. Give it 6 months. There will be so many crumbs underneath their car seat. Every A zone turns into a B zone. I remember someone was telling me how they were seeing this new person, and they said, man, they just talk all the time. And I love how there's so much on their heart and mind, they just have to get out. I can barely get a word in edgewise. It's so cute. So give it some time. Give it some time, right? Where the cute becomes irritating. Where the new car smell turns into the funky smell. Or you have that new car. Maybe you don't have kids. You have that new car, and it's so awesome. And 6 months later, you pull up to the stoplight, and there you look over, and you see, well, that's a nice car. That's a newer car. You see, the B zone is where things become real. It's where we succumb to the reality of what actually is. It's that new job with the coworkers. They're so great. They're so nice. And the boss, he just gets me. She gets me. He's terrible. And they're all out to get me. They're jerks. They're dysfunctional. They're worse than my last job. The new relationship. The new hobby. Oh, how many different things in your garage or storage do you have from hobbies that were just the best thing ever at some point? And now I have a garage full of old A-zone equipment. I see people elbowing each other and looking over. Don't do it, okay? The newness has worn off. We've spent a fortune on the equipment or the passes, and now we go maybe once a summer, twice maybe, who knows. The A-zone, that workout, remember that new workout you started? That new gym you joined, oh, it was so fun. That workout was fun, and now it's just work, you know? It's the B zone. It happens. The A zone of freedom from slavery in Egypt for the people of Exodus, well, give it some time. Give it some wilderness. Give it some wilderness. The wilderness season, where the new, the luster, the shine is worn off. And in every B zone, you have a choice. You always have a choice. But it's right here where most of life is lived. Every relationship, every job, every work, everything moves naturally to a B zone. And you have a choice in the B zone. You always do. You can push through it long enough, and if you push through the B zone, you have what's called breakthrough into a celebration. The C zone is where you get to celebrate once again. For the visual, yeah, there you go. Now, the C zone isn't shiny as the A zone, but it's a different kind of joy. It's a different kind. It's a breakthrough into celebration. It's the actualization of what you wanted. The C zone, this over here, this is the promised land. Wilderness, promised land. The breakthrough C zone in a marriage, always started here. You stare into each other's eyes, talk for hours on the phone. I could just talk to you for hours. And you get into B zone, and you fight, and it gets hard, and there's miscommunication. But you push through. You get counseling. You get a mentorship couple. You meet about it. You don't give in. You don't cave in your character. You don't make bad decisions, and you push through, and you have a breakthrough into a new level of intimacy. Now, you'll go probably through a wilderness season again. It's not like you're in the promised land here in your marriage forever, but you get a breakthrough into an area where you experience intimacy, which is different than infatuation. And that's where we want to move a relationship, from infatuation to intimacy, and in between is fighting through wilderness. In the B zone, we push through for the breakthrough of the promised land. It's the payoff. So you have a choice. You can push through. You can persevere. In your workouts, you can push through and be consistent. And you can have breakthrough in your health, in your fitness. In your job, you can push through with those other coworkers and get to know them better, understand them better, and lead up better, and lead around, and be more of a person who loves God and loves people at your job, and experience breakthrough, perhaps a new opportunity, perhaps a promotion, perhaps peace at work. Whatever it would be, we can push through the wilderness into the C zone. But you have a choice right here, because not everybody pushes through. In fact, it's rare. And it's rarer and rarer these days that we have B zone muscle to press through into the C zone, because there's another place to go. In the B zone, you can always quit. Now, this down here is the Q zone because it's just the quit. You can always just quit. When things get hard, when problems arise, when life becomes grind. Remember when things were just glory and fun, and it became a grind, became grueling. I want it out. This is why 50% of marriages fail, because you have a choice to push through or to quit. The A zone got hard, turned into wilderness. In the wilderness, my character caved. I couldn't sustain. And you don't have to divorce to Q zone. You can Q zone in a marriage and remain married, but you can quit in your heart and quit pushing through. What happens when we quit? What happens right here when we quit? Well, I'll tell you what happens. We look for another A zone. We chase something new. We get into a relationship, and the puppy love, the infatuation wears off. It gets hard, it gets difficult. We break up. And what are we looking for? Something new again. That thrill, that excitement, the warm fuzzies. Because what do we love more than that person? We love the thrill of a new person and a new relationship. What do we love more than sticking with something old or something that gets hard and wilderness and boring? Well, something new and something shiny. We love a good A-zone. We love it so much that we become what's called A-zone addicts, where we simply go through life cycling like this, through hobbies, through relationships, through friendships. They're new and they're fun and they're exciting, but then the friendship gets some rockiness and some awkwardness, and well, let's go find someone else. In a job, we move and we cycle at different rates. Some people cycle in some areas in 3 months. Some cycle every 3 years. And every 2 years, I seem to be moving to a new place. In the old place, all the people were this, that, and the other. We blame them, and we go looking for a new group and a new place. We become A-zone addicts in our life, constantly looking for something new, because this right here, nothing feels better than this in our life. The thrill, the infatuation, the puppy love, the newness, the lack of all the dysfunction and all the boredom and all the wilderness and all the grind. And so we just go through life cycling. There's likely an area of your life where you're doing this. Oftentimes, we can put our addictions and vices in here, and we just kind of quit down here to Q-zone for a fix, an indulgence, which leads, this is the new, an indulgence, a fix, an addiction of those. It's a little shot of an A-zone to keep us going. On the weekend, after a hard day, whatever it would be. But we become A-zone addicts. You ever, how about this? There's nothing more exciting for some of you than a new book. My wife, heaven is a bookstore for her. She's not an introvert, she's a booktrovert.